Yeah, thank you very much. Today's sessions is basically focusing on two things and anything in between. One part is like co-creation of global goods. Um, the other part is customizing those local global goods for local needs. And here we come in with an example of a workshop we had recently and results which came out of it and which talk about a specific solution that was created from the global openIMIS package. Let me dive right into it. Just for those who have not heard about openIMIS yet or have not really seen where we are active so far, openIMIS is a open source software, a digital public good, even certified as digital public good in different from different organizations. And we're specifically serving use cases in social protection and health. Um, the numbers are sometimes a bit updated from what you're seeing here, 3.6 million beneficiaries globally in 14 countries. I think we are higher than that by now, and I think someone even floated a number of something like 50 million. So I don't nail me down on the 36. This is changing constantly. As you can see, mainly in Africa and Asia. There's an installation somewhere on the dateline in Niue as well. And we have solutions around like voucher schemes, health insurance, cash transfers, employment injury insurance. We're going to see that example from Mr. Hasanuzzaman, and beneficiary registries for social protection. So there's a variety of use cases and tailored solutions, and we'll talk about the mechanism briefly. And also we are like collaborating with a lot of partners globally, like international organizations, which can serve as funders for the openIMIS initiative, but which is also serving as funders for implementations in countries. So it's not GIZ or the German government that is like funding all those implementations. In fact, we have no mandate to even do implementations ourselves. It's all run through other organizations, and they are picking up openIMIS as a solution for their problems. Main funding comes from the German government in a co-funding agreement with the Swiss government, and there's also some funding streams coming from the European Union. Let's talk about solutions. Solutions, I mentioned a few here. I think there are mainly both of them, they're mainly all of them that we offer. But in fact, they're just examples of something that can be done. The problem that we face is that we have that we are serving different customers, and those different customers, they all have their own terminology, they all have their own business processes, and like sometimes they use different words for the same thing, and sometimes they don't need things that like people from health do when we talk about beneficiary registry. So you don't need all that functionality, and having all that functionality and this diversity of use cases really poses a problem for us, because sometimes when we talk and introduce openIMIS, we really have the problem that people from here might not understand what we're talking about, because we are using language from here and we're talking about functionalities from here that people over here don't even know about. And then you quickly get into a situation that people are saying, well, this solution is not useful for us because, for example, in cash transfer schemes, we don't have claiming, and openIMIS has claiming, so we can't use openIMIS because there's claiming. Instead of just saying, well, we'll just not use the claims. And that's the reason why we came up with solutions. The other reason is that, for example, the AI module is a solution that can be completely running on its own without having to use the main openIMIS package, and that is something we can then also offer as a claims AI solution based on openIMIS. And the approach is very flexible in a way that basically anyone can create their own solution and distribute it accordingly. What does it mean in practice? If you look at the modular architecture of openIMIS, like you have different business process areas around different, like for example, claim management, different tasks that need to be done, and for all of them we have functionalities in openIMIS, like claim management, the claim AI tool. We have mechanisms to manage contributions and to manage payers. We have mechanisms to manage individuals, and all of those functionalities are basically in modules. And the modular structure is so flexible that you can just pick a selection of modules that you need for your specific use case and bundle them into a solution package that other people can install on their servers. And it's very flexible in a sense that you can like pick modules that you want or leave them away. You can like configure existing modules very flexibly. For example, the benefit program that you want to implement in a country has a lot of configuration options in the product module. But you can also develop your own modules with own functionalities and include that in the bundle for your specific use case. Possible is this because we have a full open source stack by now. We moved away from Microsoft technologies, and we can now offer like everything as an open source package. And like whoever wants to use it and build something new from it is not forced into like legacy and not forced into commercial products. You can fully build your thing with open source tools. That means you have basically access to everything in the tech stack, and all of it is wrapped with an installation package in Docker. So that gives you the opportunity to really flexibly compose your own Docker packages, which have just the stuff that you need. Let's now look at our governance structure, coming to the co-creation part. We are specifically looking at the developers committee. I'm myself part of the coordination desk here at GIZ in Germany. And my task is to coordinate development activities. So let me tell you a bit about what we're doing. Basically, we have a value chain, which is like not really a fixed roadmap where we plan things ahead of time because we're also very much bound to funding. But we are trying to incorporate ideas from a very early stage to like keep that in our incubator, to have people see that there's interest in certain functionalities. Then the second stage would be identifying funding opportunities where either we have received funds for further development or where we know of implementation projects where openIMIS can be used. And once funding is attached to ideas, they can turn into projects. And if you follow these links, you will also find a list of projects that we're actively working on. And finally, like out of the projects, we have the product openIMIS and the documentation and all that coming out on a regular basis every 6 months. And also that is accessible and freely and open in the public wiki. So the whole value chain is basically transparent, and anybody who wants can enter at any stage and be part of the process. Just to show you, just to give you an impression of what that means, in fact, is like our developers committee as it was in 22. I don't update those things anymore because it has become very complex by now. But what you're seeing here is companies that work for us on a paid contract. Those are like the green boxes. But once they have worked for openIMIS and they have gained that expertise, they are not lost. So you still have organizations and companies that worked for openIMIS some time ago, but they are still part of the community because the brains of those people, they are not lost. And we can always go back and pick on those brains. And if there's money, maybe even reassign them to tasks. And a lot of the work that we are doing is coming from local implementation. So this very noisy graphic makes sense if you just follow the idea that in the red boxes you have all the software development and like all the projects, whether it's contracted projects, World Bank contributions from the developer team there, or country implementations that develop their own things. They all deliver something which is being picked up by the openIMIS community, like the green boxes here. The maintenance team is always aggregating those developments and packing them into the releases on a regular basis. And based on those releases of the global package with all the functionalities, there is then a second project that is taking just the things that are needed for a specific use case and packing that into solution bundles. So that's a bit the structure. And please be aware that we'll have a new release coming up. Hopefully by the end of next week. We're still a bit working on a few issues, but I'm quite positive that we can be done by end of next week. So that's basically how things from the community get channeled into a product. And the red part is actually where co-creation happens. We have weekly calls and monthly calls, like a number of calls and events, which we use to exchange knowledge and to help each other. So all of those are open and public. And I'm sure the slides are going to be shared. So in this box, there's a link pointing you to a list of all those calls and meetings and platforms that we use, and you can use that to find out how you can sign in. Don't hesitate, just join us, and if you feel that you need support or something, don't be shy and raise your voice in those calls. We also have a number of platforms. I'm not going to go into those in detail. The links are all on the slide, and I'm sure the EHIN Secretariat will avail the slide to you so you can follow it up from there. All of the platforms are open and public, so whether it be the wiki for discussions or the GitHub repositories, like by default, we are using open platforms. I think that should be all for now. Thank you very much for your attention. I am stopping my screen sharing now and handing over to Dragos, who will talk about a specific event that we had last month, where a number of developers got together for a hackathon and developed a couple of solutions. Over to you, Dragos.
Thank you very much, Uwe. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. So as Uwe was saying just before, co-creation, and what a best place for co-creation would be than other place than a hackathon. So we already been participated to different hackathons, especially in the Basel hack. So hackathon in Basel, where we presented ideas and worked on openIMIS functionalities. But this time, in February, basically, we had our own hackathon, the first openIMIS hackathon. So allow me to start basically through information about the event. So quickly at a glance, it will happen between 17 and 20 of February. So 2 months ago, an event of 4 days in Berlin, Germany, as you can see on the map, to situate a bit in Europe where this happened. In each 25 plus participants joined from different up to 10 countries to work on a hackathon to develop together, to train and to network around openIMIS. Why a hackathon? So we discussed, we had many community events on openIMIS, we had many meetings, but never had an hackathon before. So the idea was to bring together developers, governments, and private sectors basically to work on openIMIS as a digital public good for both health and social protection. So the idea was to learn from each other because we have invited newcomers to join and share country implementation ideas and experiences to connect with different people, to connect to new expertise, to strengthen the global community across public and private sector, to think together on ideas, to find and find solution to real problems and to prioritize ideas that matters and to develop co-creating functionality. Basically, it was idea also to try out new technologies like code vibing with agentic AI. For the preparation of the event, basically we took a bit of time before to make sure that the 4 days are productive, because in 4 days, just discovering the solution for the newcomers would be very long. So basically we got done some events before the actual hackathon to collect ideas from the community, to equip developers that will be part of the hackathon and align expectation before the participants actually got to Berlin. So we first did the crowdsourcing ideas gathering, in which 14 ideas were submitted. So we used Mural to gather those ideas. We opened those ideas to vote because we only had a team like 20, 25 people, and we could not do all the 14 ideas. So we opened to vote and prioritize those most needed ideas and solutions. And basically all those were ranged from Fire Gateway to dynamic workflows. So later in the presentation, we'll explain what was those 3 ideas that were prioritized and worked on. So we worked on the developer setup to explain to the newcomers, especially how to pre-install openIMIS modules, the solution that Uwe just presented before, how to set up the development environment with the openIMIS development tools available on GitHub. And the idea was not to block everyone trying to download source code and different packages during the event, and they basically block all the event waiting for this to happen. We also created communication channels. We created a WhatsApp group for participants, and during the hackathon we did some rooms separating the 2 hackathon rooms and 1 main room. And we had also the wiki agenda, which is updated in real time. So the wiki agenda contained effectively the agenda itself, the presentations, and everything related to the ideas that were gathering. On the participants, we had 25 plus software developers and decision makers. So 10 countries were represented, and those were coming from openIMIS initiative and coordination desk. So that was the initiative which is hosted in GIZ by GIZ in Bonn. Country implementers. So we listed here some countries from Nepal, Cameroon, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Cambodia, and much more. Private sector company. So they were already companies that worked on openIMIS daily, like ThinkerTech and Why Not, but also companies which are new to the openIMIS development and initiative, like Sky Digital, Ogentis AI, a global convergence solution. Government representatives, so we had from Cambodia and Pakistan, also from Nepal, representative from the National Social Security Fund and the Health Insurance Authority. To explain the 4-day programs, so the program was starting from onboarding, presenting about what is openIMIS, examples all of openIMIS and way of working, and country case studies in the first day. Second day was dedicated to developers training. So initially foreseen for a full day, it was skipped in a half a day and already started in afternoon. We'll see later also. Creating the groups and starting working on the ideas. The hackathon days 1 was mainly during day 3. Well, 3 teams build prototypes for those ideas that were prioritized. And last day, it was finishing the development and demoing and awarding those who participated. Now, enter more into details. So, in the day 1 and 2, it were more about knowledge sharing. So it was stories from the field where Nepal presented the example of Social Security Health Insurance Funds processing up to 80,000 claims per day. In Cameroon, why not presented about openIMIS as interoperability architecture for 5 health programs. And in Bangladesh, Sky Digital presented solution that actually covers up 4 million garment and textile workers. And that basically also after just 10 months, they already managed to enroll those 4 millions insurees. On the technical deep dive, so the second day about learning how to develop openIMIS, so Patrick Delcroix from SwiftPH drive the participants through the software stack and distributed architecture, explain what are the modules and package of openIMIS, explain how to build your own module, integration with different endpoints like Fire, and also started the foundation for the hackathon coding sprint there. On day 3 and 4, so it was about to build together. So the hackathon days themselves. So from 14 ideas submitted, 3 prototypes were selected, 3 ideas were selected. So the teams were working on those ideas in 2 days. Because the time was very limited, 2 days, and was not long, and newcomers didn't know much to develop openIMIS. So the decision was to use agentic AI, so vibe coding. In that case, they will accelerate the development and then fine-tune the output by hand. So we saw that basically worked very well. And in the end, they managed to deliver working feature in just 2 days. So we had 3 teams, 5 people, 5 developers per team, 3 ideas, and in the end, we had 3 working prototypes. Looking on the actual ideas and prototypes that were developed during the hackathon. So first was a live facial verification to confirm that the person which goes to get funds, to get support, to get unconditional cash payments is the right, receive the right benefits at the right time. Meaning, to reduce fraud, people has to be there in person and to prove that they are the one who need to receive those support. Basically, to reduce room to fraud, proxy claim, and ineligible payments. So the solution was to build a liveliness detection module, which was embedded in openIMIS, that can trigger live facial verification, a different service lifecycle. So it's not just authentication, but also eligibility check. So basically, the use cases that could benefit from this prototype with validating beneficiary identity, reduce duplicate, and also strengthening fiduciary control in public funds. On the second project that was prioritized and was developed was a dynamic form and workflow builder, basically to allow program administrator to configure services without writing code. We know very well that in low and middle income countries, funds are very limited. So allowing program uh, administrator to actually build workflows, uh, modifies the solution without requiring to have developers at hand at any moment to actually implement that into the solution is very useful and very in hand. So that will allow basically uh, allow to reduce the development cycle and also to reduce the implementation of openIMIS in terms of time and budget. So what was built, it was a drag and drop prototype that would allow to construct, to design service-specific forms, which includes fields, validation rule, and conditional logic, and configure those end-to-end workflows directly through openIMIS interface. So very useful use cases, so configurable application forms per service, multi-step approval workflows, including, of course, role-based tests, and faster rollout of new social protection program. That allows also, in addition, basically to create prototypes of forms and workflow that will allow to test different SOPs and later would allow them to build additional logic, which much more advanced logic, if those workflow would be found valuable. So to include developers in the later stage before prototyping the workflows. The third project was on an OCR document verification. So the idea was to get scanned documents into structured verifiable data. So what was the need, especially on the claim and eligibility verification, was to support evidence and of the scan through scan images to scan document. So we know the problem of the manual verification that takes time. It's prone to error it's a bottleneck in programs processing of many cases per day. So having an OCR would be very helpful. Taking the example from Nepal, where they receive 80,000 claims per day with additional documents attached to those claims. So one of the main time taken administrative task is actually to verify that the documents which are attached correspond to the data which is entered within a claim. So this kind of solution would come in handy. So what it was built, it's an OCR power prototype that extracts the structured information from the upload document and cross-check with the data submitted in the application form, and basically flagging inconsistencies automatically. The use case, as we said, it's claim review and processing, cross-validation for supporting evidence and document management across different modules. So the outcomes, so I like very much what Uwe rather said, basically also at the end of the hackathon, that we've created things that a lot of openIMIS implementation can really use. And that brings us what he actually said, even in his presentation before. It's a quick co-creation of a digital public good. So we got at the end 3 working prototypes, which are integrated directly through on the openIMIS user interface. We had a better and stronger community because the newcomers from different countries basically join the global network and communities. We have new business pathways. So it was discussed during this hackathon, different business opportunities like software as a service, integration with private solutions, it could be the development of new modules, and either possibility for the newcomers to join forces into new implementations. And the roadmap to integration, basically for the next challenge is to basically adapt and polish those prototypes for the global release and integration in the master version of openIMIS, which basically is a roadmap which from what comes next. So from prototype to production. So we hope that what was developed during the hackathon, the free prototypes, the free ideas, will come live in some of the implementations. So will be used in production. And for that, basically, we need to polish and test them to make sure those prototypes actually are finished and serve the desired objective. They are integrated globally because we need to integrate those into the openIMIS master version that is released 2 times per year. We will mention about the April release at the end of the month to be rolled out in countries. So those countries which are actually interested by those modules to be integrated and used in real implementation, and of course to continue co-creation. So we look forward for new tenders, new opportunities for community contribution. And what's next? Of course, the next event, next community meeting, next networking event will be the openIMIS community meeting in Kathmandu. That will happen in June this year, and with a specific event which is celebrating 10 years of openIMIS in Nepal, which started actually in 2016. So please note down, well, if you are interested, please join us in Kathmandu in June. Thank you very much. So ideas, questions, collaboration are very welcome. So don't hesitate to contact us so we can work together to co-create together on this platform, this initiative, which is openIMIS. Thank you. And with this, I will pass the word to my next speaker. So, Mohammed, thank you.
Very good afternoon and good evening to everybody. This is MD Hasanuzzaman from Sky Digital BD Limited. So, welcoming all of you in the session of experience sharing about customizing openIMIS for the employment injury insurance in Bangladesh. Hello, is it clear?
Yes, please proceed, Sir Mohammed. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So in my session, I would cover about my organization and the problem we have actually resolved through openIMIS customization. Our current scenario, actually, at which situation we have adopted openIMIS, our solution overview, and our technical benefits for what we have got from openIMIS, and the areas of improvement that can be done later. That was already and Uwe has discussed. So Sky Digital is a Bangladeshi based company established in 2020, and we have about 6 years experience, and we have around 50 plus team members, and we do actually software development, system development, and offshore development. We are based in Dhaka, Bangladesh. So we have few government and unity and development organization as a client, and we do some work in private sector as well. The problem actually we have solved using the openIMIS. That is, in our country, country like Bangladesh, there is a very there are lackings in safety and security for the workers. So we actually faces higher rate of worker deaths and injuries each year, and a majority of our workers are low-income workers, and family faces hardship after death or accidental disability of the worker. So right now, actually, government is providing the support through 3 different organizations. That is EIS, there is a scheme, Central Fund, and Bangladesh Labor Welfare Foundation. That is, in short, it is BLWF. So currently, they're providing the benefits to the workers through paper-based. It was actually in paper-based, and when we deliver any service through paper, there is some it's very difficult to ensure that transparency in terms of duplicacy, or sometimes fake workers is claiming for insurance, that sort of thing. So actually this system, newest system, enable user or workers to apply application from anywhere, since it is accessible through web. And definitely since they are applying through web, as things are getting faster, and management is faster, disbursement is faster, and they can track it as well. So that's how actually it is improving transparency, accuracy, and accessibility, as accessibility, that sort of things. So in our country context, we have around 70 million workers. Among 70 million, 10.5 million are formal workers, and 59.5 million are informal workers. And over the years, we have seen that even last 4 years, around 5,998 workers have received 30 million USD compensation and benefits through these organizations. So since they are getting benefits or compensation from these organizations, so it was very important service to automate or digitize. So what we have done, we have introduced online-based application, online-based application system through which they can apply for medical assistance, educational assistance or a scholarship, maternity assistance, financial assistance for dependents of deceased worker, financial assistance for disabled worker. So these are basically for the 100% export-oriented organizations. And for other workers, those are actually are not in formal sector. For them, actually, medical assistance, educational assistance, maternity assistance, that sort of services enabled. So in our solution, now I want to dive into the solution actually. So that was the business part, and the solution we have actually streamlined 3 organizations: Central Fund, Bangladesh Labor Welfare Foundation, and EIS. So since different type of workers are applying for different type of compensation or benefit, so system is actually managing that which type of application should go to which organization. So as per the business logic, so designated or respective organization is providing the benefit. So while providing the compensation or benefit, so industry associations are involved there, since so that they can actually endorse the application, whether these are the real case of claim. So they are actually integrated into the system as well. And finally, we are ensuring the accessibility of workers by enabling submit and tracking their application, and of course the payment history as well. So we have actually combined three type of stakeholders. One is service provider, Central Fund, BLWF, and EIS, and the intermediary organizations. Those are actually endorsing. They are basically factories and industry association, and finally those who are actually applying for the benefit, their worker. So these 3 type of stakeholders are integrated into the same platform. So a hoop of millions of people, this platform it is. So our implementation journey was like this. We actually collected the requirement, and we did some multiple times. We did consultation with key stakeholders, including ministry officials. Those are actually administrating everything, fund providers, because few private sector organizations also providing fund for the workers, trade associations, and factory representatives. So after the initial consultation, we developed the initial system based on openIMIS. So once system is built or prototype is built, then we actually demonstrate to the relevant stakeholders like ministry, trade associations, factories, and the representative of the workers. Then we did pilot deployment for around 3 months, and we got some feedback and real cases, real application, like real benefit application or claim has been have been uploaded into the system or entered into the system. Then we have seen that how it works, or that we can complete the full cycle or not. Then based on their feedback and usability and user experience, we have updated the system, and now system is live. So that was our implementation journey. So basically, the system is like this. Here there are the two party, worker and factory. Basically, a worker can apply application, and sometimes on behalf of worker, factory can submit the application. So if worker apply, then factory can do some sort of verification. So we can verify the worker from the central worker database. That is another system, and we can verify the identity of the worker through national ID verification system that is connected to the national ID system. And worker and the factory can track their application where it actually belongs, or right at this moment, and they can see their dashboard as well. And industry association in the middle, so they are also endorsing verify the application whether correct information has come, or the factory information is correct, or whether the respective factory is the member of their association, and they actually recommend, or they revert to the factory or worker, and they have some dashboard as well. So after their endorsement or verification, it goes to the respective organization, or the central fund, or EIS, or BLWF. So they actually do their legal verification, and there is some calculation is there. There is a huge logic actually is there, based on their like type of death, or injury type, or number of dependents, and the age of the dependents, and their marital status of the dependents, and what the time the status of the dependents change. Something like when someone has died, then his or her dependents age was under 18, but once he reached to 18, then he or she does not get the benefit. Sometimes if husband die, then the widow dependent get the benefit, but once she get married, she don't get the benefit. So that sort of calculation, adjustment, readjustments, everything is done automatically into the system. uh, then finally, with after some workflow and approval, it goes actually fund approval is done. Then overall fund management and disbursement is done using the system. So since the journey of the application, few beneficiary get pension like around 10 years, 20 years. So sometimes we need to do some verification, like live verification, whether the dependent is alive. So that is also we do using the system. So this is the core business implementation of openIMIS in Bangladesh. So the default features we have actually use of openIMIS is although it is evolving, it is a very I would say it's a great architecture, and a modern popular technologies has been have been used over there. There are lots of tools are there you can use as per your need, and I would say strong security and authentication feature is there. So from our perspective, we have tried to use the authentication on authorization module of the openIMIS as is. On top of that, we had another login system, like OTP-based login system for general users. We have used the default feature of user management and role management of openIMIS. We use core module and location module of openIMIS. And in case of profile, we created a few other modifications. And we added some sidebar inclusive design for ease of access, like menu navigation. We have added another part. We have modified few core features, although those are not actually imported at the core solution, but from the exported one from our side, from our we have modified few features like new dashboards for various roles that include charts, reporting, new menus, notifications. There was one language was there, that was French language, so we needed to introduce Bangla language, so we added it, and we added some update or upgradation on table and searches features. Actually, what we had discussed already, that what we actually done, we did worker registration, worker application submission. We created central list API for uploading document, because once anyone apply for any application, lots of document is required to submit. Application tracking, application factory association, stakeholder dashboard, administrative module, and the document verification management. These modules were developed. And areas, if I look into the areas of improvement, even from our side as well, I think we are thinking about the dynamic workflow, so that the number of desks is involved in the decision making process, it can be configurable, and report should be, AI based report. In case of report generation, AI should be introduced. We have already using API. We need to there should have portability to the third party application, since if you want to use the system for the government, then there have some other systems in the government, so there are some interoperable issues, so that has to be smoother. And I think if we can build a solution in such a way so that we can deploy the system as a SaaS, and again, that this is whatever you develop, it would be the one of the government systems. So since it is one of the government systems, every government organization use 4, 5, 6, 7, or even 10 systems, so it should be included. Also, single sign-on feature should be there, so that easily it can onboard other government system as well, and the administrative user can log in into the system with single ID. So this sort of improvement can be done in the system. I think many things is already there, but few things has to be improved. So at the end, I would say the solution will provide a strong and flexible foundation and adaptable to Bangladesh labor welfare needs. And it will deliver value to the stakeholders with timely benefits, accurate tracking, and efficient fund management. And it will demonstrate a successful collaboration among government, developers, and international partners for inclusive social protection. And I think for other sector, we can introduce as well. So thank you so much from my end. If you have any questions, I can give answer. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much for sharing your time and your work, as well as your experiences with us, Sir Ube, Sir Dragos, and Sir Muhammad. We've just reached the top of the hour, but I'd just like to ask our participants, in case there are questions they would like to ask.
I would like to ask a question in general to the team. We have been working with openIMIS for quite some time now, like as a regional partner. My question is like, for the barriers or the issues with countries are, I think now with a community, a vibrant community like this, with a mature DPG, I think the problems are kind of less towards the software side of it, but it is more, or most probably might be on the other issues, right? So in terms of the infrastructure, in terms of the governance, how things are done at the country level, like how those things can actually be managed. Like, for example, like I remember in one of the countries, I'm not naming them, but that's also one of the countries that openIMIS is active, and they had an issue with a calendar because the country used a local calendar and they were using a DPG, and then that kind of a customization. I also, like, briefly, I think the Bangladesh presentation also mentioned about the language, but there could be other customizations that are also might be more local than in the universal version. How these things can be actually maintained or supported over time. And then, like, have there been occasions where you have to extensively customize to a country context in your work with the countries, and then how those things probably can be sustained? And beyond the software level, like what could be the typical other issues, like how things related to infrastructure and other governance related aspects like could be managed? And is there any organization that delivers the whole thing as a package managed solutions, like where, like, if the government do not have resources to kind of deploy, if they can actually be able to pay, and then the entire instance is managed, including the customizations? Thank you. I know this is a long question, but whatever is possible that if you could answer. Thank you.
Hi, Chai, and thank you very much for the question. And it shows that like you are followed with a few implementations. So that no, it's really like when you have a global product like openIMIS, the problem is always like either you force people to stay close to the main branch and force them to do regular updates and everything, which has a lot of advantages. But of course, that removes flexibility. Advantages are like if the closer you stay to the main branch, the more you're able to do regular updates, the more you are like profiting from security updates, new features, and things like that. But it also takes a bit of the flexibility away if you want to modify modules or something like this. So we are moving, and the solution building project that we are in right now is doing a great part into that. We are moving towards a more configurable and more flexible platform, which allows you to do your own code contributions and manage your own solutions. That's basically the whole idea about it, that you can do customization without forking the main branch. But of course, in certain situations, you still might want to fork the main branch, and then you're moving away. I'm not sure about the calendar. I see a few people in the room who would be able to talk about Nepal, for example, how that was solved, but that was possible. Yeah, I think that as a general rule of thumb, and handing over to Dragos.
Thank you. Thank you, Jai, for the question. And actually, were many questions in one question for me, at least. Starting from infrastructure governance, support, and customization of the solution, as Uwe mentioned also in the presentation in his answer just now. The solution is built in such a way that you could already customize it by configuring the different modules on what fields information we want to record and display. And as our global recommendation for is not to redevelop the solution as is, but to extend it as much as possible is very important, especially if you want to keep up with the new versions, new releases of openIMIS that bring new functionality, but also new performance improvements and security fixes. So it's also important that you keep the solution as much as compact as it is from beginning, to update it easily, not to require to adapt again to your functionalities if you change the code base from the original, and to extend as much as possible with the new functionality or customization. I will start that because it was mentioned about heavy customized version. So what Mohammed was just mentioned before, that is actually a heavy customized version. I think from my experience is the most customized from what exists out there as implementations of openIMIS. But I don't know any implementation that has the solution directly installed and used as it is. at least not even having all the modules in one implementation, because there's no implementation using the unconditional cash transfer and health insurance feature in parallel by the same organization. Coming down again to the infrastructure. The infrastructure is important. Of course, you need an implementation will need servers, will need devices, everything like that. But I'll go a little further. An implementation will not use only openIMIS as such, but they will want to integrate with different national systems, like, for example, a national registry to get information about the beneficiaries, will different formal sector platforms. We can also think about the payment gateways because it's also about the payments. So it's important also to take in consideration the national infrastructure, the national architecture, if there is a blueprint, to somehow connect through that blueprint to take in consideration all the standards that are applying in the countries. And for everyone to know here, openIMIS already implements the Fire Air Force standards, version 4 standards, and is basically ready to be interoperable with any other system that use the same Fire version 4 standard. On the governance side, it's also very important because we're talking about the IT system here. So development is an IT lifecycle. We all know about that. But it's not only that when you want to implement a solution, it's also everything related to governance. And with the government, they are about the readiness, they're everything about the life cycle of the solution. There's everything related to the risks of those solutions, and it's all everything related to change management, because you introduce a solution within an organization, within a country, everything will have to change to use a solution, processes to be adapted or created from scratch, tools to put in place, and different other solution integration with different other systems. So governance is very important, and every implementation should work on that, and even before starting to implement openIMIS in production there. And I will finish with a question about the support. So our recommendation, so there are different organizations supporting on openIMIS implementation. We from Swiss TPH, we are already supporting several countries. We started with Tanzania, where openIMIS was initially developed, which became openIMIS, and now currently we are supporting Comoros, Cameroon, to implement the solution there. So we do that, but in all the cases, what we recommend as much as possible to have internal capacity on IT development, IT support, in order to sustain the solution on the long term, because usually an implementation support has a limited time period allocated to it. So once that period stops, the organization implementing the solution need to have the capacity to sustain it on the long run. And for that, you need capacity on health finances, social protection, business experts, but also on the IT expertise in order to fix bugs, in order to fix any problem with the servers, and any related IT problems that they might come there. So as much as possible, it's good to have the capacity internally, or at least in the country, even if it's externalized from the ministry that actually implement the solution. But having that in the country will be much more sustainable, less costly than having maybe an international organizations to support. But there are several out there, including us, doing this support in order to start implementing openIMIS, customizing and implementing initially. I hope I didn't forget any sub-question. That I don't know, Mohammed, if you have any additional comment on this. Otherwise, I get to answer or back to you, Jai, or anyone else has answered question. Thank you.
Thank you, Dragos. You answered everything. Thank you.